It's not nervousness about being punked. It's I wish you had been upfront about that.
Now that's hilarious, because almost everything Sam had done up to this point was the complete opposite of upfront. Alright, I'm going to talk about the climax of this documentary, this 1v1 sit down, and what Idubbbz did to kind of fuck with Sam here.
But before I really get into this conversation, let's talk about irony.
So Idubbbz did a segment where he talked about the different types of irony.
We have post-irony. This is where you say something in a way that makes it sound like you don't mean it when you actually do mean it. In other words, you're using irony to make a joke about how you're joking.
I think you can get a really good understanding of this stuff by thinking about cringy trends and dead memes.
Take the Vine boom sound effect. 6 or 7 years ago, even when used in a comedy skit, it was still used sincerely as a sound effect.
You're missing 41 cents. Told him to keep the change.
Yes, hi, I'd like to report a crime.
But since about 2020, it was slowly brought back into internet culture, ironically, to poke fun at a bygone era of cringy vines.
Hey, Doc, get some ice cream?
Now, using it ironically has become so popular with channels like 2Mad that it's just turned into people using it unironically or sincerely again.
So the theory goes that post-irony can be thought of as a return to sincerity.
Meta-irony is where this gets fucked.
So if post-irony is a return to sincerity, then meta-irony is a clusterfuck blurry zone where it could be that you're joking about joking, or that you're ironically joking about joking. So this happens when important context is either never divulged or procured, and it makes it impossible to know what is an ironic meme and what's not.
And as Idubbbz explained, it can often be used to mask sincere thoughts under the guise of ironically joking. So Idubbbz kind of goes on the offensive, bringing up their first interaction years ago in which Sam copyright claimed a video of his.
You copyright claim the video.
Really? Did I create an enemy with that?
I mean, for a period.
Damn,
I didn't like you.
I'm sorry.
You were an asshole. Yeah, why'd you do that to me?
See? Kind of confrontational, huh? And then he reveals this.
That's what led to this day today.
Really? Okay, so are you gonna punk me?
You're getting punked.
Really?
At this point, confusion reigns. So we get this edit of Idubbbz pointing to meta-irony to emphasize that right now he's being unclear as fuck. Neither Sam nor the audience knows whether he's completely joking, or if he's actually super upset and is out for vengeance, or if it's something kinda in between.
How are you gonna punk me?
I'm gonna make you look like an asshole.
Really?
Which isn't hard to do.
Is that really the case?
No.
Okay.
And then he undercuts everything he just said. You know, he had the whole big setup, the origin story. This is how you slighted me. This is why I'm here. I'm gonna make you look like garbage. If you're in Sam's shoes here, from the guy who got big off doing content cops, that can seem plausible. And Idubbbz did seem maybe kinda mad. And then when pressed further, like, wait, really? You're doing that? Idubbbz retorts with a short, pithy, no, lol. That can be unsettling for someone on the receiving end, because you don't know if you stand on solid ground. I mean, just look at his attitude here.
Did I burn a bridge with that?
I could have been. But I'm a resilient person, so I turned that hate into a passion for filmmaking, which is why I'm here.
It's clearly something a bit fishy here. Saying the traumatic experience of the copyright claim, I used that for good. It sounds ridiculous, it has to be a joke, right? But just how much tongue is in that cheek is left kinda ambiguous. Again, emphasized by splicing in that meta-irony clip. What is super clear though is that all this made Sam uncomfortable.
So are you like still angry with me? Do you dislike me still? No, because this is ominous. Because this is very strange. It feels like you're trying to punk me. Like if you actually were upset about that, I would want to like heal that. You should have just told me, man, I'm sorry.
I thought it was interesting how much Sam seemed to dislike being put in a situation like that, where a person is giving you unclear, possibly antagonistic vibes. How shitty it can feel when you're not in the know. Now, I don't know if Idubbbz meant to do all that beforehand, or if that's just kind of how it all played out.
But I thought it added another cool little layer to all this, considering how much meta-irony is a part of Sam's personality and comedy, and how often he puts others in that uncomfortable position, not least Idubbbz in this very documentary. Now that's what Idubbbz says he finds really frustrating about people like Sam, who constantly employ meta-irony.
Sam is drenched in meta-irony. If you're not saying anything about something when you say it, why do you even say it? And there are two answers. Either you're just bad at irony, or you're just being sincere.
Now I'm gonna disagree a bit here. Just because it can be hard to interpret, meta-irony doesn't always have to be meaningless.
It could also indicate genuine confusion or conflict within you, or that even your own messages are mixed in your head.
But beyond that, I think meta-irony is often used as a social tool to put others at ease. So imagine I did this at the end of every video.
Hey guys, don't forget to smash that like button and hit the bell. Now, if I were to say something like that with that kind of energy, most people familiar with me and my content would probably guess that I'm kind of poking fun at the whole YouTuber thing. And my hope is, by doing something that's so out of pocket for me, it shows some awareness that I'm aware of how these people come across, and by exaggerating this practice, I'm telling you I'm not one of them. But I do also want you to press those buttons. Some YouTubers are like that, unironically. So for people who were to see me doing that with no context, they might think that's just how I unironically conduct myself. And in a way, it is.
That's me using meta-irony, because maybe I kind of want to ask for likes. I just don't want to do it in a cringy way. And if someone calls me a clout chaser, I could just be like, hey, I'm only kidding, obviously. And I kind of am. It's partly a shield for myself, partly a soothing device for others, and it's also a way to communicate my confusion while trying to be kind of funny.
Comedy, language, art in general is often much more fun for for the audience, for the consumer, if they have to do a bit of mental work to understand the message being conveyed. This is why stuff like metaphors, analogies, and irony even exist. They're effective and fun tools, which can add layers of meaning to something, and you get to feel like you're a part of an exclusive club that gets it. If a piece of art wants to say something and have it be impactful, strangely it can help to obscure that message a little.
Point is, I can understand why some people would want to use meta-irony from time to time, beyond just trying to get away with saying crazy edgy shit. Now with that in mind, I will agree with Idubbbz on this.
I do not like these characters who live 90% of their life in this state of flux, where they seamlessly flow between being ironic, not, and kind of both.
This is nothing more than a way to be easily charismatic.
It's a quick shortcut to come off as irreverent and intelligent without having to say much. I think this is why I've never found people like Sam or Jreg very funny. I think they might be funny people, but not very funny comedians, if that makes sense. And I don't really care for their work.
My problem is not that I disagree with them politically or that I don't feel I have permission to laugh.
Is they don't feel like they have permission to laugh.
It's that I don't feel there's anything being said to laugh at.
Like, I don't look at their work and think, oh, they're communicating their confused thoughts on a particular topic in an interesting way. No, it's just confusing.
It's like if a comedian got on stage, took a dump, and then walked off. And yeah, that could be funny in a meta way, like a, man, what the hell is even happening kind of situation. But it would also get old quick, and there's not much you can take away from it. Really, you're just left with a bunch of crap.
It's just a bunch of crap.
That's not to say everything needs to be highbrow, super moral comedy. Sometimes my caveman brain does find dumb shit pretty funny. But I think that's because there's no pretense or suggestion that there might be something more there. Whereas with Jreg and Sam, that does seem to be the case, and certainly their audience seems to take it that way. These guys have political audiences that take very real political meaning from their content. And washing your hands off that is not only cowardly, I think it makes shit boring.
Your stuff's that indecipherable, I just cannot get into it.
So when Idubbbz explained all these different types of irony, he was basically just rehashing stuff Jreg had already talked about a couple years ago. And I got some big disagreements with a lot of this shit.
Irony is all fucked now. This is very much a generational thing. You think multiple layers of irony were a thing when your great-grandpa was alive? Look at boomer memes and tell me how many layers of irony there are in boomer memes. Like, max 0.5.
Go-to boomer humor that old people thrive off of. They love sarcasm. It is a basic level of irony to the point where it's almost irrelevant to millennials and zoomers.
So this is a classic satire. It's pretty old, so it only has one measly layer of irony.
The idea that zoomers have discovered a whole new species of irony, or that the measly layer 1 level of sarcasm is never used by them, is, I think, kind of delusional and very self-gratifying.
I mean, Norm Macdonald is someone who constantly had that weird multiple layers of irony about him.
I'm sick of these kind of characters. I think we should kill Hitler. Me and you, go suicide, kill him.
This shit existed in old niche and cult media as well. Even Trump, you could argue, is sometimes post or meta-ironic.
No, Trump oftentimes is doing self-parody, and nothing looks dumber than if you parody self-parody.
Certainly the concept of disguising or testing out an idea through a joke, where the fact that it's being told as a joke can be used as a shield, that is not new at all.
Well, technically, I have more of a right to be there than you. You still have your balls.
Kidding.
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know, is she, bro? So it's post-meta-ironic. Which brings me to something else. Post-irony, meta-irony. Why did these guys feel the need to have all these definitions and explain them? Are people realistically going to be that precise when they're describing irony? No, the reality is, one of these terms, probably meta-irony, will just become a catch-all word for when someone is being ambiguously ironic or is operating on multiple layers, and that's it. No one is going to unironically be like, actually he's being post-ironic, and the distinction between that and meta-ironic is that post-irony comes with a very clear intention. It's meant to be interpreted and decipherable. Like, bro, I don't think we need a fucking textbook for all this. Also, when they talk about boomers, they were really just talking about normies in general. And there are loads of zoomer normies. I've seen your pimply faces on TikTok. You guys are not that special, okay?
I think niche, self-referential, ironic humor has always existed. It would just come in different forms, the ones that pertain to their own subculture. So of course, if you're not like familiar with memes, you're not going to understand when memes are memeing about memes. I think the difference now is that culture online is so driven by like the masses, everyday people. It's not drip-fed to us by like a limited set of sources.
That's why I think some older entertainment can feel very layer one at times, because it was just harder to market to a subculture. You try to cast as wide a net as possible.
As much as this documentary was about Sam, I felt this was also Idubbbz examining his own content history and really clarifying some stuff for his audience. I've seen a few confusing comments comparing Sam to Idubbbz, saying stuff like, I don't get why Ian is pretending he wasn't exactly like Sam a few years ago. And while Idubbbz was definitely edgy and engaged in a lot of shock humor,
I want to do Mario unboxing video.
He wasn't subsumed in irony constantly. And with his jokes, I always felt solidly that I knew where he was coming from. The problem is, I guess, that some number of his fans didn't really catch on.
Part of me thinks that this documentary was was also kind of him like clarifying all that a bit.
In the last few years, I think Idubbbz has lost a bit of the aura that he used to have about him. He used to be seen as like this untouchable god, but he's taken a few optical L+ ratios since then. But honestly, I really respect him for it. He's evolved, he's just been doing his thing, he doesn't really chase trends, and sure, he may have lost some fans along the way, but as a content creator, that will happen no matter what. You either stagnate and people lose interest, or you reinvent yourself, and some people won't like that either. But honestly, I thought that was some of the best content he's ever put out. Anyway, kind of an all over the place video, but I also want to announce that I have a second channel. The plan is I make worse videos, but a little more regularly, hopefully. Go check it out if you're interested, and see you next time.